if I'm ever in the position to help them, I would. And then Hotshot happened, and we sold was 10 million records and had a ton of money. And we were just like, okay, I just walked into the hospital
Mhm.
with a check. I think I don't know, it was like 150K or something like that. I just walked in with the check, and then the hospital administrator says, "What is this?" I said, "This is for you guys. I'm going to the hospital." It's like, "Oh, are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know. Anyway, I did the check, and then months afterwards, the anesthesiologist there came, who kind of around the place, called me and was like, "Yo, Shaq, come and let me show you what your check did." And he's showing me, we bought this equipment, we bought a blood warmer, we bought this, we
Wow.
bought, and he's just showing me all these things, and it really motivated me at that point. I was like, wow, really? Yeah. He said, since this machine came, we saved these amount of lives. Since this machine came,
Oh.
we saved these amount of lives. And I was just like blown away, because I'm like, I just bought a car that was 3 times that. Wow, you know what I mean?
Welcome to Beyond the Plate. I'm Paul Jacobs, where food is more than just a meal. It's a powerful way to connect, inspire, and transform.
We call it tertulia, a gathering where bonds are formed and stories are shared.
Get ready to dive into real stories that inspire, challenge, and nourish the soul.
I'm Daniel Patiño, inviting you to join our tertulia and explore how food and connection can truly transform lives.
Let's go Beyond the Plate.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Plate.
Season 2!
That's right, Season 2! That's right, I just went straight through the intro because
They renewed our
we've already
contract.
been doing it.
They renewed our contract.
They renewed our contract. Just want to celebrate that out in the open.
I just had to say that before you introduce us, just in case they switch hosts, like in mid-season or something, like Darren's and Bewitched.
That's right, or Fresh Prince when they switched out the mom. Yeah, nobody noticed. But I'm still Daniel Patino.
I'm Paul Jacobs.
And this is Beyond the Plate. And as we usually start off the episode, I like to play a little game at the beginning. Let's play a little game. Let's call it Was It Me?
Okay.
All right. So, Paul, first question for you.
Yeah, sure.
How about that? Have you sold more than 40 million albums units to date?
Oh, no. Wasn't me.
Wasn't you. Okay. Ian, did you land 8 singles on the Billboard Hot 100 and 7 albums on the Billboard 200?
It wasn't me.
He said it wasn't him.
It wasn't him either. Okay. Ben, let's see Ben. I think this one has to be him. Ben, were you winner of Best Reggae Album at the 61st Annual Grammy Awards?
Ben's a band leader,
Yeah.
like here.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't him either. I'm telling
Okay,
you.
well, Danny, I got one for you.
All right.
Have you recorded on the Super Bowl 40 commercial spot that was the highest rated Super Bowl ad in history?
Let me think about that for a second. I have to remember. Nope, it wasn't me. It wasn't me either.
Wasn't you? All right. Well, guess what? As you all know, who that really was, our first guest on season 2, our season premiere. Welcome to Beyond the Plate, Shaggy.
Otta.
Yes. International music, reggae, dancehall superstar, Shaggy. Welcome.
Thank you, man. Hey, it's glad to be talking to people that's employed.
Yes. We don't know for how long after that intro.
I hear the ticker. I hear the ticker.
Hey, I didn't even realize that they actually switched out the Fresh Prince mom till you just said it.
Yes, Vivian. Her mom was switched out, and I mean that's something you can look up. But I mean, it
I'm
switched
like,
up for the
you
better.
just said it. I was like, wait, they switched the mom out? Wait, I might have to go do my reruns right now to find out.
Too funny.
And I love it. This is how we share fun around here on Beyond the Plate. And as we share fun on every episode, we usually like to take it a little in a different direction now. Now, if we took the time to list all your accolades, Shaggy, I mean, all the awards and all the milestones, I would have to put some more money in the meter outside.
Yeah.
And we'd probably have to extend the episode for another hour or two. But on the real, all those successes and awards are all in the view here at Food for the Poor. This is how we look at it. It's a means to an end, right? So you are a musician. You are a musician in costume, though, because the real Shaggy is proven to be a humanitarian, all right? Shaggy, are you trying to leave this world better than you found it? Is that what you're trying to do?
I think we all are. I would imagine, and if we're not thinking like that, then something is wrong with us. Especially if you come from humble beginnings. You know, I'm from Raetown in Kingston. It's a little fishing village, in downtown Kingston. And when you look around and see when you pinch yourself a little bit and be like, wow, look what I've accomplished. I've had the opportunity to uplift my family and kind of change the cycle, the generational cycle of my whole family. I have a niece just got a full scholarship to to Princeton, and I seen all, she was the first person in my whole family to go to college. I mean, all of these things, when I'm sitting there getting an honorary degree from Brown, when you're sitting there and when you look across, you see Nancy Pelosi and all these people that's receiving it, you're like, yo, dude, what am I doing here? you know? So I think we all kind of uh, do what we do based on gratitude, and just being lucky that we could we were, because I look at ourselves, I certainly look at myself, and I think we all are just servants.
Right.
We're all servants here, and we were all given a tool to serve, and my tool is through music, and everyone else has their tool, and you do your best in service up until it's time that you have done your service and it's over, and then you're taking. When I'm on tour and I look, we did a tour last summer when it was about 300 to 400 people that were stage handlers, truck drivers, riggers, security, concession stands people. I'm like, that's 300 electric bills, school fees, mortgages,
Yes.
Right.
all because I decided to sing these songs and this rock. And so I look at it as being bigger than me. When people's like, oh yeah, you're great, you wrote It Wasn't Me. I'm like, dude, let me tell you something. I did not write It Wasn't Me. I might have physically wrote it, but that was ordained through me. Listen, if I could come up with that, I'd be doing one every week.
Yes. Oh yeah.
you know, that's ordained through you as a tool to do something else. When I wrote a Hot Shot album, there was 11 people that bought their homes and started their lives based on
Wow.
what we did. I mean, so you got to look at yourself as that. And so I look at everything I do as with gratitude and also as part of me being a servant. So
That's
me
right.
doing philanthropic work is part of my service.
Hmm.
That's how I kind of that's how I break it down. And partnering with Food for the Poor is it fits because it's Jamaican.
Yeah.
I love Robin from
Hmm.
and I know where it's coming from, and I have a platform that I could use, and they do great work, and we kind of work hand in hand. So it's wonderful.
And we love Robin too.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
love Robin too.
Yes.
And we love Robin too because it's one of those, was it the Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon, the 7 degrees of, or 6 degree, I forget the
Yeah,
degrees,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's how we communicate and how we get together as a community. And it's brought, the Beyond the Plate to Shaggy, and
Yeah.
Shaggy has brought
Yeah.
you to our audience. And
I call him
again,
Robin Hood.
Robin
Robin
Hood.
Hood.
That's good.
That's right.
That's excellent.
But Shaggy, you're not only a multi-award winning songwriter and hitmaker, right? Now, you've also used your platform, like you just explained to us, to strengthen your community and homeland. And back in 2009, you established the Shaggy Make a Difference Foundation, which was of first of many foundations.
Yeah.
Also, Shaggy and Friends benefit concerts.
Wait. Shaggy Kids.
Shaggy Kids.
All right.
I mean, the list goes on. And you've raised millions
Amazing.
for the Bustamante Children's Hospital, the Caribbean's only English-speaking children's hospital that's located in the heart of Jamaica in Kingston. And you've also been quoted, Shaggy, I've always tried to bring the fun when I'm performing and keep everything very lighthearted and joyous. I think my purpose and my job is to bring joy to as many people as I can. And I want
Yeah.
to resonate within all the music that I create. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, joy, because I think laughter and joy is healing. You could be going through your roughest day. If you put a comedic spin on it, or put some joy to it,
Yeah.
you'll feel a little better. Some of us are so privileged we don't even understand what we have.
Mhm.
And when you start going to some of these countries and says, "Hey, dude was just dealt a bad card, man. You were lucky." Um, I've been to places where it is the conditions that I'm looking at is like, yo, man, this is bad. But when I'm talking to the people who are living into the conditions, they're like
Mhm.
happy.
Mm.
It's as if they this is all they know and this is their life, and so things that makes me uncomfortable for them, it's just norm. It's and they're kicking ball and playing and having. They don't have devices. They're not having. They're not sitting there says, "Oh, my mental." I have to. You know,
Right.
I got to work on my mental health. There's nobody looking at what the mental health is. They don't. These. I always look at and mental health is pretty serious. But I always look at mental health in some way. I was like, it's kind of a privileged thing because when you look at kids that are going through it, that's all they know. It's they kind of just adapt.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in the hood, I just adapt. I adapted and just kind of
Right.
overcame and went. Um, Now, I'm not saying that there probably isn't some damage there. You probably, but the damage is sometimes taking them out of that world and putting them in this world,
Yeah.
and they can't adjust, and that becomes that.
Yeah.
So joy is definitely something that I use as a tool,
Okay.
and because it's feel good, and when you feel good, then you will be at your full potential. It's easier to get to your full potential when you feel good, when you have joy in your life. If you have a cup, you got to make sure that cup is to the brim, is filled to the
Mhm.
brim, that you could feel reach to that potential.
And what
So I think joy
what
is
drew
part of
your
it.
heart specifically to such a noble cause as supporting the operations of the Bustamante Hospital?
I was there was a friend of mine, Tony Kelly, and we were making a record. I think it was Hot Shot I was making at the time, that
Okay.
record and that album. And his son got sick, and he took the kid to Bustamante Hospital. I think it was Shane. The kid's name was Shane. And we went there. We ended up staying there the night, just waiting until they admitted him. His tongue was swollen for
Oh,
some reason,
jeez.
and they were working on it. And I ended up talking to nurses and doctors that night, just hanging out there till 3, 4 in the morning.
Hmm.
And they were giving me some stories that they were doing. It was like, yeah, we don't have a blood warmer, so we put the blood in a pot with a
Oh,
What?
thermometer, and we
wow.
What?
warm the blood to the temperature for surgery. I'm like, what?
What?
And they were telling me all these little unorthodox things. We got pliers and screwdrivers, like
Oh,
things that they used because they didn't have the equipment. And I
mhm.
was like, wow. Um, but they were lifesavers. And then I said to myself that if I'm ever in the position to help them, I would. And then Hotshot happened, and we sold was 10 million records and had a ton of money. And we were just like, okay, I just walked into the hospital
Mhm.
with a check. I don't know if it was like 150K or something like that. I just walked in with the check. And then the hospital administrator says, "What is this?" I said, "This is for you guys. I'm doing the hospital." It's like, well, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, because I think they were
He's
used
rubbing
to
his
it coming
eyes.
from
What?
like from a foundation or something. It was just a personal check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, I did the check, and then months afterwards, the anesthesiologist there came, who kind of around the place, called me and was like, "Yo, Shaq, come and let me show you what your check did."
Oh,
And he's showing
wow.
me, we bought this equipment, we bought a blood warmer, we bought this, we
Wow.
bought, and he's just showing me all these things, and it really motivated me at that point. I was like, wow, really? Yeah. And he said, since this machine came, we saved these amount of lives. Since this machine came, we
Oh.
saved these amount of lives. And I was just like blown away because I'm like, I just bought a car that was 3 times that. Wow, you know what I mean? It
Right.
just put things into perspective. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It's
And I
good.
and at that point, I was just on a different path. And then one day they call me. I built a little park in the hospital where people came from out of town, from Kingston to from say Saint Elizabeth to Kingston is like a 3-hour drive,
Hmm.
and they'll come down, and
Wow.
if a kid got sick, the kid would be there, and the parents would need somewhere to sit while the surgery is being done. So
All
I
right.
created this little park in the middle of the hospital. I had some volunteers come and bought some flowers and did some chairs and did some stuff. And uh, I think it was the Scotia Bank had heard about it and jumped on it as a sponsor. and kind of help finish it with me. And I was like, all right, cool. That's cool. That's my first time getting into all of this. And then they told me to come down for a ribbon cutting for it with the head of
Right.
the bank. So I went there, to do the ribbon cutting, and this little Rasta man come to me and says, "Yo, Shaggy, I would love for you to see my daughter. Her name is Apple, and she's on one of your machines." He said. I said, "My machines?" It's like, yeah, she's one of the machines around there. And so, after I was like, all right, cool, 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 and then we did the ceremony and shake hands and kiss babies and all that, and then ended up walking around to this ward, and I saw this girl with a bullet. She was an 8-year-old girl with a bullet lodged in her head, and she was just like there. And I'm sitting there holding her hand, and I feel very helpless. And I'm just holding her hand, and I felt like she was squeezing my hand like just like that, what I mean? But she was not really responsive. It was just like that's like her head was doing this, and it was the most helpless I've ever felt. And I just walked out and I said, I gotta do something else.
Yeah.
And then that's when I came up with the idea. So we're gonna do a concert, and I started to rally people. Went to Sharon Burke, who produces concert. And say, how are we gonna do this? And I kept a dinner at my house, and then William Mafood, who is the nephew of Robin, who when I went to them for sponsorship, he kind of was guiding me on how to set up this foundation. He says, Shaggy, you can't just do this like this. You need a foundation.
Right.
I'm like, what foundation? Why can't you just keep a concert and just get the money?
Just give him
It's
my
like,
bank
no, it can't
account
be
number.
done like that. Yeah, it needs. Yeah, why can't I just do a bank account?
And my routing number.
no,
Here you go.
It's like, no, you need a
No.
foundation. You need to set this up to make it legal. And I was like, I don't know anything about doing that. I was like, well, I could help you. We do food for the poor.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so William kind of guided me through Robin and all of them. And we ended up setting up this Shaggy Make a Difference Foundation that aided this hospital. And then Robin came on board and says, okay, what we do, we ship containers to Jamaica so we could bring your equipment that you buy through it to where, it's smoother than you just going, and then you'd have to go through tariffs and all of that. And I was like, okay, great. And that was the beginning of our relationship with me and Food for the Poor and me just doing this whole charity situation.
Bear Brews! Picture this. You're brewing an incredible craft beer, but entering the non-alcoholic market feels impossible. Well, we're talking about too much cost, too much risk. Sound familiar?
That's where Bear Brews rolls in, literally. They're your mobile partner for advanced de-alcoholization and pasteurization. Say that 5 times fast.
Can't.
No capital investment, no hassle, just results.
Their mobile tech lets you create non-alcoholic beer without losing that flavor your fans love. Same beer, huge new market.
Oh, and here's a game changer.
All right.
They recover the alcohol byproduct. You can use it to create seltzers, cocktails, you name it. More products, more revenue. Bear Brews!
Based in North Carolina, Bear Brews works with craft breweries like yours. Whether you're brewing 2,500 barrels or 200,000, that's a lot. They bring the tech to you.
Want to test the waters? Oh, I see what you did there. They even do small batch trials to prove the market, no upfront costs, zero risk.
So, stop putting that non-alcoholic market and seltzers on hold. Bear Brews is here to help you grow without breaking the bank.
Ready to grow your craft brew empire?
Sure am.
Visit bearbrews.com right now. That's bearbrews.com.
The mobile tech, the results, the partnership. I'm talking about Bear Brews. Let's make your beer the next best thing.
Well, I'll applaud to that.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Bearbrews.com. That's BARE brews.com. Hispanic Group! Hispanic Group is an advertising agency focused in the U.S. Hispanic market that specializes in customized media solutions for businesses.
It sure does, desde estrategias de redes sociales hasta publicidad en medios tradicionales. Ofrecen soluciones personalizadas y creativas adaptadas para alcanzar sus objetivos de marketing, all tailored to diverse and rapidly growing segments of the Hispanic population across 42 Hispanic markets in the U.S. and Latin America, huh?
Wow, you get all the great lines.
Hey.
But they use their cultural expertise to create strategies to deliver efficient results.
Hispanic Group. Lleva tu marca al corazón de la comunidad hispana. Take your brand to the heart of the Hispanic community. Hispanic Group.
Their expertise lies in reaching the Hispanic market, leveraging its rich multiculturalism. Hispanic Group combines innovation, cultural insight, and strategic collaboration to drive what? Tangible results for their clients.
I agree with everything you just said.
Now, for more information, you can visit their website. Guess where? HispanicGroup.net.
Okay.
That's HispanicGroup.net, or
I'll say it in Spanish. HispanicGroup.net.
you know, it's amazing. I'm blown away at your humility in all of this because, you know, you talk about just these things as just a matter of fact when it had such lasting implications and save lives. One of the things that out of this whole Bustamante project over the years that really has struck us has been a specific thing that you did. To me, it has become very iconic, and it is not easy to do. You have assembled what I call, like, it's like the Avengers assemble, right? All these superpowers from music, and you did a song called "Save a Life," and I love the lyrics. Take a stand, make it right, lend a hand, save a life. I'm blown away because, you know, here you have, and this was the first of something that you started and with these concerts and these artists that have all come together. I mean, it was really a who's who in reggae and dancehall music. But I want to take a moment just thinking about that song, Save a Life, and the project with Bustamante Hospital. I want to dial the clocks back. It's January 12th, 2010, exactly 15 years ago. Haiti suffered a massive earthquake that took the lives of almost 300,000. Many would say it would probably more. 300,000 men, women, children, innocent lives. Their lives changed in an instant. And not just their lives, but the lives of families, the lives of generations to come worldwide. But even though it captured the heart of the world, it captured the heart of one other person. That was you. Tell us how you assembled now what was, again, the second iteration of this amazing, talented roster of dancehall, reggae, musicians, amazing. And I'm sure there was people behind the mics and producers and whatnot for this Caribbean tribute for Haiti. And it was really an anthem, stories, Rise Again.
There's two stories.
Yeah.
For Save a Life, while I was doing the whole concert, and I was a novice to all of this. I'm a novice to putting on a concert. I'm doing everything from heart, just instinctively. I have a few people who have done stuff like Sharon and people who have done it, you know, and I have them guiding me. But, you know, I'm going off just sheer adrenaline. And somebody says to me, well, you're going to need a song. The song, you know, your music song will get to people. But I said, well, we got to make a heartstring song. So those lyrics you wrote was part of what, or thought process of those lyrics you read were part of the thought process of what it would be a heartstring pulling song. But then we came on being Jamaican. There's a rebelness that comes with Jamaican. Like if you tell a Jamaican, don't touch that light switch. I mean, as soon as you turn your back, you're touching the light switch. You know what I mean? It's our nature. So I said, how do we get them to come in? I said, I dare you. And that's how we came up with it. I dare you to take and I dare you to take a stand. I dare you to think of someone else who is in need of a helping hand. That's how the dare came in. And that was the catchphrase of everybody, I dare you. And then people, when they started to buy tickets, they said, they would film themselves and say, Shaggy, I accept the dare. And that was part of the whole thing that going on. So it's tapping into culture in that way to know what your audience is and know what your culture is and go. Now, with Rise Again, I'm at a studio with a producer by the name of Christopher Birch. I'm doing a song with him, which is a total different song. While I'm in there, we feel like a tremor, like a thing. In the studio, this is in Jamaica. We're like, what is that? That was what I'm saying. But it was a light tremor. It wasn't, And I was like, I don't know what it is. Anyway, we kept writing a song and doing them. And then the television in the studio, right over the board, is on, but it's on mute. And we just saw breaking news, blah, 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 blah. And then the pictures and then we were just like stopped. And it was like, yo, what is this? And then we realized what was happening, the earthquake and the devastation. And we're seeing it pulling people out. And we're just stopped the studio session and we're just watching what's going on and we're talking about it. And then I had this thing where I'm saying, some say, how does Haiti come back from this? Was the question in there. And I'm like, yeah, well, we're going to ride. We're resilient people. We're going to rise. And that, how would they rise from? How does Haiti rise from this? That's what was said in the conversation, and I just took that and just said, "We shall rise again." And that was, and the song that I was there to write ended up being this song now, And I flipped the beat, kind of made it, started to write the lyrics, and changed it to what we know as. Which you now know as Rise Again. And then now, by the end of the day, when we demoed the record, I'm like, okay, now who do I get? And I just start calling everybody I know. And some people, if you see the video, some people we didn't get on it because everything was so quick.
Yeah.
So I had to do things on their phone to send to us or, so how we could try and make who was there we shot. And we, and just try to, because this was done within a couple of days of us doing it. I'd call Jay Will, the director, and I'm just doing it. And then Digicel had lost their building with all their staff in it.
Wow.
And a lot of people were killed. And they heard about what we were doing and say, hey, we would like to help you with this. I'm like, okay, cool. And we'd like to put it through our phones and just raise funds and money for the cause down there. And I was like, all right, let's go. And that was it. And we did the song, did the video, and gave it to Digicel and say, do your magic. And that was it. And they ended up, cutting checks and whatever it is. But it was very impulsive, the whole thing, how that happened.
You're listening to Beyond the Plate with our guest, reggae and dancehall superstar, but the greatest title, all caps, capital H, Humanitarian, Shaggy. So,
Bless.
Shaggy, I want to dial the clock back a little further because this has to come from somewhere. This humanitarian bent, this drive is really a drive. It's not just something you do. It's something that's in you, in your DNA. We call this podcast Beyond the Plate because we really want to capture really a deeper story, and we want to kind of go beyond what we find on Wikipedia, go beyond a YouTube search, And so you may not remember, but the last time I met you was at a Food for the Poor gala here.
The gala.
At South Florida. I emceed that event. And you weren't there as the performing artist, as you've been so many times, Matter of fact, I pointed out to Danny when he started working here, there's a picture where we walk by of you every single day in our offices.
A little selfie.
This little look right here. Yeah. But that wasn't this particular night. You were there to accept an award with your lovely wife, the Ambassadors for the Poor Award.
Yeah.
It was your collaborative work with this organization that was the premise for that award and why you must so deservingly received that. But what caught my attention that night was not the celebrity stardom. It was not even so much the award and some of the things that you shared that evening. What caught my attention was family.
Yeah.
That you were surrounded with family,
Yeah.
growing up in Jamaica, your cousins, your family, it left a mark on you. It left a mark that was probably still instilled in you to this day. What was that like? What has been instilled in you from that young age, young as you were with your family, your cousins, that has left a mark that drives you still in your DNA with all of this humanitarian work and every project you take on?
My wife seems to think that, like she says, she can't figure it out. 'Cause, because when she looks at my family, there's a lot of dysfunction, you know. Um, so she doesn't know where she doesn't understand it. I guess I don't either of where that comes from or desire for this.
Mhm.
But I never had a dad. I met my dad when I was like, I would say 14 for the first time. I don't really have a very solid relationship, but I do take care of him, and I take care of him and his family at this point because he had another family, and and got him a home, and do take care of what I could take care of at this point. Um, so there was never I was a single parent family. My mom, and my mom was a struggling writer at the Gleaner Company, the Daily Gleaner, the local newspaper. And I have no brothers and no sisters on her side. I have a half brother, half sister, which I met years later down from my father, but I've never met them before. So I was always considered just like an only child. I had a grandmother that was a very loving grandmother. Um, but the rest of the family is very, very separate. It's ghetto life,
Mm.
A friend of mine say ghetto means get out, you know.
Wow.
And yeah, and you shouldn't glorify the ghetto, in the sense of we should all aim to get out of it and use it as a mark of where you don't want to go back to, you know. Um, and you try to elevate yourself and your thoughts and your life out of it. And I think it really just boiled down to me being a dreamer. You know, I was a dreamer. I dreamed of. I watched television and I dreamed of the people sitting at the table having a meal together. I was never a guy that did that because my grandmother just gave me a bowl, everything I ate with a spoon. And we lived in a little one room, and that was that. I mean, it was never let's sit at a table and hold hands and pray. There was never a family thing. I never had Christmas. There was never a Christmas tree in my house. It's not something that I do. We never. If it's a birthday, my uncle come by and say, "Yo, here's $20. Go get an ice cream." I mean, that's what it is. And I think that as I go, I met my wife, and my wife really had that family type thing. And it took me years to kind of figure that out because they will argue, like really straight up argue, like say some mean things, and in the morning they're having coffee like nothing happens. And I was like, how do you all do that? And she's like, well, that's what family does. And so it took me a minute to know what that is, or and the camaraderie and how they look out for each other, and I got that through her family by me being with her and seeing. And then when we started having children of our own, it became that. And so now, as a guy that's into music and touring, and I'm always gone, I'm getting these calls. She's instilling everything in the family that, everything, it's family. And so I kind of just stumbled my way into it in a way. And now I've gotten to a point where, okay, bing, light bulb. Wow, this is the most important job you have. Dad is the most important title you'll ever have. And as my daughters grow up and my sons have grown up, my son is 30 now, and he is my best friend. My other son is 28. He works with me on tours with me.
Mm.
My 19-year-old daughter's in college, and she comes back and forth. And then you just find a lot. It dawns on me is everything is surrounding you. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm their go-to.
Mhm.
And it just hits you heavy. It's like, I'm in charge of all this.
I'm their
And
leader.
yeah, and for some reason, I've always been the leader of my tour group and the leader of my company, and I have a lot of people that I employ. But it didn't feel, it's a job, and we're touring. It makes money, rah, rah, rah,
Mhm.
it revolves. They have their lifestyle, rah, 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 and you're the guy, and you write these songs, and you go out and you sing them, and you tour them, and you see where it changes people like yeah. But then when you're kids, you're like,
Yeah.
you're responsible. Because I'm not responsible for people who are employed by me, my assistants and my
Mhm.
musicians, and I'm not responsible for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
I employ them, and they're my extended family, but I'm not responsible for them. These ones,
Yeah.
I'm responsible
I,
for.
I
And
can
I'm like,
imagine Shaggy's wife saying to one of the kids, "Wait until your father gets off tour."
Right. I'm Mr. Bombastic, not Mr. HR. I'm not human
And
resources.
then you're gonna have to also realize that no matter how much you're that guy, you'll never trump mom.
That's right.
She's part of the committee.
That's right.
Because you are now as a dad and as a husband, you're gonna realize that once kids are there, you're now, if it's 5 kids, you're 6. If you have dogs, if it's 2 dogs, you're 8.
Oh, jeez. That's a lot.
I'm just saying that's where you land, and then you just
Well,
kind of start to get to that point to realize, okay, but this is what love is, this is what family is, and this is
Mhm.
what life is, and then it becomes worthwhile. Like I have a lot of accolades and I've done a lot of things, and
Mm.
I've sat in some rooms with some really great people. You sat with the Pope and the top super, all my heroes. I've met them all, and they all know my name. But there's nothing more than your kids. And so what you saw there that night was that, and
Yeah.
they'll dress up and come out as it's important, no matter what I'm doing, we're doing, and say, oh yeah, so we're going to have this happening or that happen in
Yeah.
family. Everybody drop what they're doing, and that's the most important thing.
Amazing.
And and I have to give it to my wife for really instilling that, because I didn't know anything about that. I learned that from her.
If no one is convinced that God has a sense of humor, here is an individual who is raised in a single parent household in a dysfunctional family, is now the center of familyhood in your family.
Yeah.
That to
Thrust
me,
into it.
thrust into it.
Go ahead.
That to me is God saying, you don't know anything and you're not in control. I'm God and I'm in control.
Oh yeah, I
love it.
figured that out a long time ago. I'm
love it.
I'm and like I said, we're servants. So, I'm doing a service here. I have no control. This is you do your best with what you can, but
good.
it's God's plan.
That's
good.
And Shaggy, we're nearing the finish line, and we're talking to Shaggy, reggae and dancehall superstar Shaggy. Now, Shaggy, let's take a moment here. Let's dream for a bit. Let's close our eyes. But folks, if you're listening and you're driving, don't close your eyes. You're working with some of the most recognizable names in music and culture. One of my favorites was the NPR Tiny Desk concert with Sting. I mean, that plays constantly at the house. When we're cleaning, when we're having dinner, when we're trying to go to sleep, it's just playing on loop.
Whoa,
Whoa!
I'm an illegal alien. I'm a Jamaican in New York.
Got my 2-year-old saying that. Now, if you have a dream project to make a world-changing difference, all right, and that would change the course of a generation, who would you want to work with to accomplish this?
That's easy, Sting. That's my best friend. That's the person I enjoy working with the most. The collaboration of Sting and I it's not artist to artist. It's friendship.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
I mean, I talk to Sting every single week. This week I spoke to him 3 times so far. He'll be coming in Miami for my birthday. I went to New York for his birthday with my wife and went through it's family. It has just become that. He's the brother I didn't know I needed.
Mm.
It just happened. It came at a time I was with. I think there's an expiration date on every friendship.
Huh.
To be honest with you, I don't know if you ever had a friend that you were in school with, and then you were probably really, really close with them, and then you lost contact with them, and then you saw them again, and it was like, hey, let's connect again, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't mesh the same
Mm-hmm.
because that person has served their time in your life. They've
Yeah.
done their job. That friendship is expired. There's nothing else you can learn from that person. And I've had some great people, and I've had some wonderful journeys with some people who I learned a lot from. Some people who have done me wrong, and those L's I turned the next way and from loss to lessons. And I've learned from them all, and I wouldn't change a thing for the world because I might have lost money, I might have lost this, I might have lost, but the knowledge I gained and the person that it has shaped me into is I am very, very comfortable with. I'm still a work in progress, like we all are, um, but I'm glad. And Sting came at a time where my insecurity was at its highest. I had people around me who made a lot of money. Their whole lives were made because of what I do, and sometimes you find people who are not to their full potential, and so what they will do throughout their frustrations to make themselves feel better is to bring you down to make themselves feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Bring you to their level to make themselves. It's like, oh, yeah, he's not that good, and he's not this, and yeah, you can't do this, and you can't do it. And I'm like, okay, I can't do it. Why? Because you can't do it. And then if they start saying it loud enough around you, and especially if they're people that you really love and respect, then you really start not being able to do it. I think Steen came at a time when it dawned on me when I think we were doing an interview in England, and they asked him why would he. I was in the interview. He says, why you want to? What made you want to work with Shaggy? And he turns around and said, "This one right here is a genius." And I just kind of sat back. It was like, yeah. He just used the G word, did he? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, he's a genius. His process of recording and making music is unlike anything I've ever seen. Write a song. My process is different. I'll take it. I'll spend days with it. I'll do one part and come back. I've seen this man write 4 songs in one day, and he doesn't play an instrument, and he has the most amazing melodies, and he says it's a process that I've never seen, and I've learned so much from it. And he just kind of broke it down, and I was just like, it dawned on me after that when I said, well, if this guy is the police,
Okay.
150 million records,
Yeah.
one of the greatest songwriters of all time, and he thinks that I'm good. How come all of you who've made every kind of money and bought homes around me don't think I'm that good?
Wow.
Time to change my circle. And that's kind of like what really happened. That's why I said Sting came in at that point that I didn't, he helped me, my confidence. He helped me as an artist. And then he started to teach me things that I didn't know, like the instrumentation. My ears got cleaner. He taught me to sing. Like I was a rapper, like a DJ dancehall. He taught me how. He made me sing Sinatra records in reggae. I'm like, what are we doing here? And I remember being on the boat when we were playing Sinatra, and I just started singing because I love Sinatra music. And he jumps up and says, "Oh, you're the same. You're the same tone. You're bass tenor, just like him. You sound just. It's amazing how you sound like." And I'm like, "What?" And then he showed up at my house and said, "We're doing an album in reggae. Let's go." And I'm like, "What?" We got nominated for a Grammy. But to have my confidence that heavy that I could take some of the most complex musical arrangements ever known to man, a lot of them done by Quincy Jones too, and actually sing those songs and make them my own, came from an enormous amount of confidence that came from this person who saw bigger things in me than I saw myself,
Wow.
and made me believe it. So if there's anything that I'm doing, I don't care what it is, Sting is my guy. That's the guy I'll do it with, 100%. He's the person I'm most comfortable with. We're gonna laugh about it. We're gonna tell each other when we're wrong. We, it's that easy.
Wow. If this guy played bass guitar, I'd say the same thing.
Right. If he was a bass tenor, I might have told him something. I might have told him something once or twice.
Wow. This has been, first of all, this has been an absolute honor, Shaggy, to have you. But
Thank you, man.
all of our guests from season 1 and beyond know that when we end every episode of Beyond the Plate, we always end on a positive note. We end on a positive note. Shaggy, you were going to get the last word on this positive note. I want to go back to Rise Again, the lyrics from Rise Again. Tragedy showed and came to give us a chance to show that we really cared. If you were to rewrite this lyric, it shouldn't be hard. You write 4 songs in one day. You're going to rewrite one lyric for us tonight. 15 years later, after the earthquake, Haiti still has great needs, families, and communities. If you were to rewrite the lyric for 2025, tragedy showed and came to give us a chance to show that we really cared, what would you share with the people of Haiti right now?
Well, it's hard to rewrite something because that was in the moment. And I'm not a big fan of rewrites, to be honest with you. But I think what we need to do in based on the situations, we sometimes forget, like life moves on. And especially in today's generation, where social media is, there's always something else to take you off of what's important, you know. It's the distraction, so to speak. I think what I would do is write a lyric speaking about staying focused on what is the important thing and not being distracted. Distraction is the biggest thing that's going to get us in this day and age, because you're going to have all kind of narrative coming at you that you don't even know what to believe these days. We're seeing it with AI. We're seeing it with everything. You're not going to know what the truth is. And the only way you know what the truth is unless you stay focused on what it is. It's boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. You know, there's nothing you cannot tell me what's going on in Haiti. I'll have to go there and feel it myself. I'll have to research it and see it, because that's going to be the hardest. One time you could be just like, oh my God, let's do this, you know, and then you have everything is a scammer, everything is this, everything is that. So it makes it hard for somebody who really wants to help when there's so many people trying to scam their way into something else, you know. So I think at this point is I would rewrite it to where, don't be distracted, faced, put yourself into the situation and go seek it, you know. And that's kind of how I view anything that I get into now. You research it and go at it and trying to feel it. Like I always say, there's music you hear and music you feel. Anybody could sound good, just based on how you feel, you know. Um, you could make, it could make you sing,
Mhm.
if just from technology make you sound better than in the shower, you know what I mean? You can do that, you know what I mean? But can I make you feel it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, feel come from struggle, come from pain, come from passion, come from I writing and singing something that makes you believe what I'm saying and live what I'm saying. And that I see so many artists, especially internet artists or TikTokers, that make records that are catchphrase records, and but the message is lost, and it sounds good, but you can't feel it. And everything you do, you got to go feel it. And for me, where Haiti's concerned, it's got to be that situation where you go feel. And us trying to promote it to people, we have to do things to make them feel it. You can't just promote what's going on in Haiti by just reporting it. You got to find a creative way to tap in to make people feel it. You know, you remember when they what was it? What's that? Is that Sarah McLachlan song?
Yeah, right away.
Yeah,
Sad
that-
puppy eyes.
If you don't shed a tear, something's wrong with you.
Dude, let me tell you something.
Exactly.
You just like, and after you've given us a couple of times, you're like, all right, yeah,
And it plays again. Oh.
it pulls it. You have to find things to make you feel it, and that's what needs to happen. You have to tap into something that you feel. So that's the best I could give you at this point.
That is the best, because that's not a positive word for the episode. That is a positive word for this new year, 2025. Shaggy, we are honored to have you on our podcast. We're honored to know you and to be a part of what you're part of. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Keep doing the good work, man. Food for the poor has always been great.
Thank you, sir.
Fist bump, Shaggy.
Fist bump.
All right.
Fist bump. Big up. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's rise. Life, pressure, struggle, strain. Must stand together, let us shoulder the pain. Me can't dare witness blood a run down the drain. Me can't stand helpless and
You just went beyond the plate.
Don't miss out on a chance to make a real difference, folks. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at beyondtheplate.podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stay connected by texting Best Bite to 51555.
You're going to get a cool link, and we look forward to having you with us on the next episode of Beyond the Plate.